Hey, it's Lauren. So for today's look, we're gonna be dealing with my stress skin. So I'm gonna start out with some Cotz Prep and Prime sunscreen. Oh, you guys, it's been a time. We are preparing to move across the country, and my life is chaos right now. We are selling basically everything that we own, almost every single thing. Like, there's really not a lot coming with us that is not absolutely essential, from clothing to like kitchen goods. I'm pretty sure that when we get everything in our cars, because we're driving our cars across the country, we're not hiring a moving truck, I am pretty sure that my husband and I will own less than we did in college. And that's with a toddler. Yeah, I basically sell things at all hours of the day right now. We have basically nowhere to sit. We sit on the floor. It's getting weird. My child decided to put herself in a plastic bucket and take the lid and put it across it and make it a table for herself. That's where we're at right now. We're camping in our house. So my life has been crazy. I'm breaking out a little bit, which I'm not normally someone who like gets a ton of breakouts. So what I really want to do with my skin today is keep it very, very light. So I'm going to use my Jones Road Beauty face pencil. This is the shade 07. And I'm really just going to brighten everything up. Focus on the eyes, focus on concealing where I need it. So when we get to Colorado, we're not going to really have any furniture when we first get there. And we're really going to try to keep it pretty minimal while we're there. Because we don't know where we're going after this year in Colorado. We could be staying in Colorado. We could be coming back to California. We could be going somewhere else. I don't really know. Kind of depends on where my husband can find a job. So, yeah, we're going to be keeping it pretty minimal in our new house. We'll get beds. We'll get a couch and probably a table. But aside from that, I don't really know that we're gonna buy a lot of things ever again. I've kind of been fine with like not having a ton of stuff. Obviously, like I think some things are essential, like somewhere to sit is really nice. But I've kind of learned like there's a lot of things that we've gotten rid of that I don't really miss. I don't know. My relationship with things has changed so much over the years. It's kind of an ever-changing process. And every now and then, when I'm getting rid of things, I'll run into something that is particularly hard for me to let go of for whatever reason. And so I think there are ways to overcome that. If you're someone who's trying to cut down on the amount of stuff in your life and the clutter, I think there's different ways that you can think about things that can really help you when you're trying to let go. So, for instance, something sentimental. I think most people really struggle to let go of things that are sentimental, things that people have written them, things that belong to people that have since passed on in your life. I think those are ones, at least for me, items that I really struggle to let go of. I think something you can really stop and think about is if you are holding on to something that once belonged to someone that you loved that has since passed on, and you're having a hard time parting with it, I think the best thing to ask yourself is, what is happening with this item? Is it sitting in a closet? Is it sitting untouched or unloved and away from general use or enjoyment? And if the answer to that is yes, then perhaps there's a better home for it. Because if it's sitting in a closet, realistically, something is not going to bring you a ton of joy, right? I recently went through this myself. It's kind of an ongoing thing, but there's something I'm going to be giving to a different family member, because I realized holding on to this thing doesn't necessarily bring me any more joy. It's sitting in my closet. I'm not doing anything with it. So giving it to someone else that actually can use it and have it and enjoy it I think is a really great way to make it easier on yourself to let go of things. Even I, someone who is like getting pretty good at like letting go of things, even I struggle with sometimes letting go of items. But when you really step back and realize you don't need it, you don't need a lot of things in life. So yes, letting go of things. My house is going to be very empty very soon. I'm going to use my Bare Minerals matte foundation today just because I want to keep it really light on my skin, especially with some new little breakouts that are popping up. Sometimes when this happens, I like to use something lighter, not as heavy, and especially with it getting so hot outside, I think this is a great foundation. I said this the other day, but I really do love this foundation a lot. So the other interesting thing about getting rid of everything is when you have kids and you're getting rid of everything. Kids like that structure and stability in their life and in their home. And so when there's lots of things changing around them, I think it can confuse them a little bit. So it's been interesting with my daughter because she is 2.5, and I think it's a little strange for her that everything in her house is going away, right? So we've had to have lots of conversations with her explaining where things are going. They're going to go to a new home. Someone else is going to love them and take good care of them. And then when we move, we'll get new stuff at our new house. But she doesn't forget, which is also really interesting. She like has not forgotten things that were in our house, and she'll like mention them. So like, for instance, there was a big picture in her room of a panda and I sold it. She asks about that panda a lot. And so recently we got rid of our couch and she was like a little teary when it left, and we explained a new family's gonna love it and take good care of it. And she was like, but the couch, it was right here. It was right here. And we're like, yeah, sweetheart, do you remember the family that came and picked it up from us? And she's like, mm-hmm. So like we're helping her process all of these emotions, and you know, we're trying to explain that like it's good to share our things with other people sometimes because they'll really need it or love it as well. So it's a very interesting concept. I would love to know if any of you have done this before, where you've had to like sell everything before you move and you had small children. I would love to know how you handled that. Because I want to make this process as easy on her as possible, because I know it's difficult and different and lots of things are changing for her. All right, now I'm going to take a little bit of this Thrive bronzer and just kind of warm up the edges of my face a little bit. I did purchase the new Victoria Beckham Beauty bronzing bricks. You can expect that pretty soon. I know I'm a little late on the initial launch, but I ended up purchasing that and then some other things from them. So more Victoria Beckham Beauty is on the way, which I love that line so much. It's been really great watching it grow as well. Perfect. Okay. Next, I'm going to use a little bit of Headrush from Haus Labs. I'm going to use this shade right here. It's called Bouquet. And I'm going to use a very big fluffy brush for this and just do a quick little smattering of blush on my cheeks. Today's look, I didn't even really tell you guys what we're doing. I've just been kind of like rambling on about my life. Today's look, I want to do just kind of a soft overall look and then a very strong red lip. Kind of feel like that's what I need right now. Ooh, that got a little too much. Okay, so what I'm going to do, when that happens, if you're putting on a blush and it grabs really strong all of a sudden, take your foundation brush and just tap over it just a little bit. You'll still have that flush, but it's going to tone it down just a bit. You're going to get that mixing of your foundation with your blush, and it just perfect. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my Victoria Beckham Beauty. I'm going to use kind of a mixture of two shades. I'm going to use this one and the lightest one to create kind of a mid neutral tone. I like the undertones of this a lot. And I'm just going to very softly start working this through my crease and really just feather it out into nothingness. Next, I'm going to take Potent Petal Flash Fluorescence from Phytosurgence and pop this onto my lid space where I did not put any color yet. And I really like to get in there. I really like to warm it up. These are so beautiful. They last all day. They really don't crease or fade on me. And you can kind of build it up. So you can see like when I did another swipe over, it really built up that intensity. This shade is really beautiful. It's a very like pretty kind of peach color. I like this a lot for when I don't want my eyes to steal the show, but I still want them to look pretty. They have some new shades launching. There is a purple and some glitter toppers, and I'm losing my mind. I'm so excited. I feel like every time they post that purple, I message them and I'm like, when? It's so gorgeous. I forgot to add my highlighter. So I'm going to use also from Phytosurgence, I'm going to use Mirrored Moonlight, if I could say that correctly. And I'm actually going to use this little Sonia Kashuk flat top concealer brush. I bought this specifically with this formula in mind because I wanted something a little more dense, and it's not so big that it's gonna make like a huge highlight. Because sometimes when you're applying highlighter, if you have too big of a brush, it can almost like wash out and cancel your blush. So I really wanted something that was a little more pointed, but also, you know, kind of a small but broad surface, if that makes any sense at all. So I'm going to take this, swirl it around a whole bunch, really coat my brush, and get up in there. This is a rapidly growing, beloved favorite for a lot of people, and for good reason. It's not sticky or tacky in the slightest. It performs more like a powder in that way, but it's like balmy at the same time, and it just gives you the most like perfectly diffused looking skin. I think it's pretty magical. It's like, it's not like too crazy until the light hits, and then it's like, look at your bone structure. It's beautiful. It's one of those formulas that it will never look like too much. It just looks like you have really great skin. Blend that out a little bit. Highlight the lip. Yup. Okay. Now what I want to do is put on a little bit of eyeliner. I'm going to use the Clover by Cloven Hallow is like the full tag. Okay, so I'm going to use the brown one. What I'm going to do is create a very soft diffused line with this. So I'm going to apply it with this smaller brush, and then I'm going to take a small, somewhat dense brush and blur it out a little bit. Just makes it a little softer. This is the Jones Road detail brush, by the way. All right, let's repeat. Ta-da. Okay, now I'm gonna put on a little bit of eyebrows and mascara. For my eyebrows, they actually look kind of good on their own today. Maybe this Thrive semi-permanent brow gel is working, where my eyebrows are actually getting more tinted. I will use that today, and then if I need to fill in any gaps with a pencil, I will. Actually just looks pretty good today. It's really not bad. I will say, if you are someone who wants to do your brow gel first and then go back afterwards, the finer tip the pencil, the better, because you're not going to break apart where that gel has really kind of groomed your brows into place. So for instance, I have just like a little hole right in the front there. And kind of fill that in a little better. And it's honestly, it's really not bad today. Over here I have a little gapping at the very top of my brow. Do little teeny tiny strokes for that. sure it's not too high up either. I feel good with that today. That is not bad at all. Now I'm going to put on a little bit of mascara. And for that, I'm going to use the Victoria Beckham Beauty Future Lash. Great mascara for somewhat softer looks for me. It's more of a defining mascara. It's not really like super volumizing, a little bit lengthening, which is also really nice. And it's a tubing formula. So on really hot summer days, I think this is a fantastic mascara. If you don't like skinny wands, this is not going to be for you. Personally, I love it because I can get really, really tight into my lash line, and it almost gives you kind of like that tight lining effect. So good. So, so good. I was thinking about something the other day. I actually really do love this mascara. I think a lot of times, like when I say like my favorite mascaras, I always say Jones Road Beauty and Thrive because they are so big and bad and bold. But I love this mascara. It's really, really beautiful for soft definition. I think it's fantastic mascara. I think out of like my favorite mascaras, my favorite more natural looking mascara is going to be this one. All right. I bumped my eyelid just a tiny, tiny bit. That's the other thing I will say about this. Like there's such great control with this brush that I don't usually end up with like a ton of smudging on my eyelids from me like bumping the brush into it. Very, very nice. All right. Petal Bouche, Petal Bouche, Petal Bouche, Petal Bouche. Okay, I'm gonna have another sip of coffee because it's gonna take a second for this to dry down, and I just really, really need more coffee right now. All right, that was a lot of coffee. I always like to make sure my lips start out a little bit dry with this. That way nothing is gonna be sliding around. This stuff really does catch quite a bit on the wand, and it's extremely pigmented. So I get to wiping because I don't need that much on the wand. All right, I need a mirror. We're about to get serious. Such a beautiful red though, and it wears really, really well. So I think it'll hold up great for the chaos of whatever my day throws at me. I always like to start kind of in the middle and work my way out because it's so pigmented. I look like a mime. So what you're seeing me do right now, my lips are a little uneven. They are more rounded on this side and then a little straighter on this side. So I always try to like round them out a little bit more because I think it gives that little like cute like Betty Boop puckery kind of look. Do a little more. Voila. There is my look for the day. It's a little dramatic. I love it. Thanks so much for watching. I think my kiddo is waking up, so I've got to go. I'll see you next time. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't. It helps other people find my channel. Okay, bye.